Hello, everyone. Welcome to Frank Analysis. I am your host, Franco. You guys read the title, and we're going to talk about solutions here. Updated solutions for 2022, but they haven't really changed much from the solutions that I had last year. I was on the general strike panel last year for RBN, um, Revolutionary Blackout Network. I've had solution panels on this channel, a lot of them. And the reason why I stopped having them wasn't because like, oh, I don't agree with anything that anyone's saying, or it wasn't because like I don't have those solutions anymore. The reason why we stopped having those solution panels is because the arguments became redundant. Um, and if I want to talk about specific solutions with people, I can have on certain experts to talk about that, like such as growing your own food or things like that. But it's pretty basic. What I have. It starts with educating the masses. Otherwise, people are going to come to the wrong solutions. But it has to be us taking power away from the people that own everything. Those people, which are BlackRock, the Vanguard Group, those families that are at the top that own everything, we have to take power away from them. And right now, they control pretty much everything. They control our political system, they control our education system, they control uh, our textbooks, they control our food. All right, what they don't have full control over is your consciousness. You have to keep asking questions. Otherwise, are you going like how do you know that the solution that you have right now is the one that's actually going to work? Because I see a lot of people saying things like, "Oh, we got to have a general strike," or "We just have to vote for the right leaders." Are you asking enough questions? How do you know that having these leaders pass the things that you want, like you say you want Medicare for all, right? Or you say you want teachers or workers to be paid better. How do you know that you're actually going to get that with these politicians? If you've educated yourself enough, if you've informed yourself enough, if you're open to asking more and more questions, you will realize that all these politicians can't give you the things that you want. They're going to craft legislation or pass legislation that's crafted by lobbyists. So if you're calling for, I see people who have like demands, and that's great. In an ideal world, maybe we can have those things that you're demanding for, like universal health care. Of course, in an ideal world, that would be great. But with the people that we have in charge right now, the people who control everything, do you think that they'll give you a genuine universal healthcare plan? There's going to be things in that legislation that's going to be strings attached. There's going to be things in that legislation that will benefit them more than it's going to benefit you. If lobbyists are the ones crafting that legislation, if they're the ones crafting Medicare for all, you're going to trust that Medicare for all? So our problems will not be solved with our current political system. It's not going to be solved by a politician. And even if we did have that one genuine person that's running for Congress or for running for some kind of office, do you think that they're going to make it far if they're actually like about the things that they're saying they're about? Like if they're saying that they're for the people and that they're going to expose everything, they're not going to make it far. These people who are in power right now, who own pretty much everything, will do everything that they can to suppress that person. Make sure that they remain as unknown people. What about third parties? Same thing. If there's a genuine third party out there, they'd be addressing the electoral problems that we have, the voter suppression, and they'd have a actual plan for that. They'd have lawyers and stuff, but none of them have that right now. And not to mention that the majority of them get co-opted. You know, we've talked about this extensively when I've talked about Movement for a People's Party, when I talked about the Green Party. We've talked about this a lot. All right, so with third parties, it can only work if it's like a miracle. And even if by some miracle a third party politician does get into Congress, they're going to get co-opted, or they're going to have to work with legislation that's crafted by lobbyists. So again, it's not a real solution. Growing your own food, I've constantly been saying, yeah, growing your own food does take power away from these people that own everything in our country. Talk to your neighbors about growing your own food. Talk to your neighbors about having community gardens. I've been saying this stuff for a long time. We've had guests. I've had Amber from Roar Media to talk about how you can grow your own food. But this stuff is not going to happen overnight. And we're going to have to accept that. We're not going to have a general strike overnight. And if we do have a general strike, is everyone going to know what we need to do? Is everyone going to be informed enough about all the problems that are happening in the world? How much control these people have? There's still several people in our population that still believe in the mainstream Roni Rona narrative. There's the majority of this, well, I don't know about the majority, but a lot of people in this country still think that we can solve our problems electorally. So that's why it has to be we have to start with educating the masses, informing the masses, so that we have a deep understanding about what the problems are, so that we can come to an actual solution. And I'd love to know what your thoughts are on that, on all the stuff that I'm saying right now. Right? Because there are people that are calling for, like, oh, yeah, let's have a general strike, or let's have a revolution and blah, blah, blah. Are we consciously ready for that? Like, do people know what they actually want? Not enough people understand what the problems are in our country. They understand something is wrong. Like, they're unhappy. A lot of people in our country are unhappy. But do they understand why deeply things are the way that they are? They understand that there's greed. They understand that we can't have like a universal healthcare system because of greed. They understand that we can't have a free college system because of greed. They understand that they can't pay us more because of greed. But do they understand, in terms of the people who are greedy that they're talking about, how much control they have over our lives? So, like I mentioned, when it comes to certain solutions, like when it comes to your health, you gotta inform yourself. You can grow your own food. Look up holistic medications and things like that. Never stop asking questions. When it comes to certain issues out there, such as political prisoners, other things happening in this world, how indigenous people are being oppressed, how their lands are being set on fire for more industrialization, for more mining for resources, to further advance the fourth industrial revolution. You got to inform people about that, because there's still the majority of people don't understand what's happening. Informing people itself is a solution. You can organize activist events, like people getting together to inform people about Julian Assange. That's practicing a form of a solution. Don't stop practicing your activism, but also be aware of how things can get co-opted. Be informed also about how you can, what's the most efficient way to inform other people. And with that comes informing yourself about human psychology. What's the most efficient way that you can let somebody know about what's actually going on without them being in denial about the things that you're saying? If you're too pushy, if you're too attached to convincing this other person about what's happening, sometimes it might be counterproductive and they don't want to accept the things that you're telling them. That's why part of the solutions that I have is also to increase your own consciousness. That means, like, what is consciousness? It's awareness, being aware of things that are going on externally, being aware of other people, the way that they think, the most efficient way you can inform them. And also being aware of where we're at right now collectively, at a conscious level. Because if we were to replace all our leaders right now with, other members of this society, other working class people, do you think that some of those working class people will become corrupt themselves and then it becomes another cycle? How do we know that the new people that we have in charge won't fall into the same traps that the current people in charge have fallen into? If they're not aware enough, if they're not conscious enough, then we're going to be making the same mistakes again. We're going to be having more wars. We're going to have the people at the top taking advantage of the people that are at the bottom, making them work for them. A lot of people are not going to be aware enough about how susceptible they are to greed. So understanding human psychology is also part of is also a solution. So we have call 1-800-Ricky Berwick's mom. I wonder who that is. Everyone has the capacity to do evil. There is no pure evil person. How can we reduce evil in the world? Raising your consciousness, informing yourself about the human mind. If the word spirituality scares you, then read books on philosophy. Read. That's also a solution. Don't just read about things that are happening in the world. Read about philosophy, spirituality, so that you understand what is the best thing you can do with all this information that you now have about things that are happening in the world. But saying that, oh, we should have this leader, we should have this leader, we should have this leader, and thinking that having that leader be the one that solves all your problems, that's not a real solution. It's not going to make the problems go away. And as I mentioned earlier, especially with the state of collective consciousness that we have right now, how do you know that those leaders aren't going to make the same mistakes as the people that are in charge right now? ICU says, know your history and the history of other countries. So many people pushing that history is an important, dangerous. And, as I mentioned earlier, you never should stop asking questions. You probably read on textbooks or online certain pieces of history. I know a lot of people like from the communist community or from the libertarian community. A lot of them are really informed on history, but a lot of them, I see this mainly with communists. They have this. Uh, I don't know what word to use. It doesn't sound more harsh than this, but the worshipping or idolization of past philosophers or past hero. I don't know about heroes, but leaders. Like they have this like big attachment towards Stalin or Marx. And look, you can take some things that they may have said that may be true, but to like worship the guy or to think that they did no wrong, and then if when you come across other facts about history, you deny it if it goes against your beliefs in Stalin being the greatest person ever or being such a good noble person. How do you know that that stuff that you're reading that paints Stalin as this hero or as this noble person 100%? How do you know that that's true? Were you there? Did you experience that? History is written by the winners. I mean, just like how you questioned American history at one point and you came across more information, you can never stop doing that. Always ask questions. How do I know this is true? How do I know this is true? How do I know this is true? Never stop reading, never stop educating yourself. Also, some things that worked out in the past, it's not going to work out right now. Things change, especially now that the people that are in power, that own pretty much everything, have a lot more control than they did in the past. Or have more tools to control you now. Right? There's more surveillance now. Things have changed. They've gone away with getting more of your rights away. Look at how much they got away with the Roni Rona and coercing people to get the jab. If you're aware of yourself, aware if you have this higher level of consciousness and you're always asking questions, you also won't get attached to certain things that may appear to be a solution initially, like crypto, for example. A lot of people thought that crypto is a solution, that it's sticking it to the man, sticking it to the banks. There's plenty of people on independent media and all these crypto bros and Bitcoin bros that were saying that this is going to be the solution. But as my friend Jack Sith and Polly, who've been on this show before to talk about this, as the stuff that they've revealed, the evidence that they've presented is that this still the same people at the top that are benefiting off of crypto. They still have control over that. A lot of these billionaires are profiting the most off of crypto. And now they're trying to create a digital currency system at the state level, at the municipal level, even at the national level. In terms of education, I mean, more people are becoming aware that our education system is designed to make obedient workers. There's a lot of dogmatism with our current education system. It teaches people what to think rather than how to think. We should tell our kids, or we should suggest to parents that have kids that they should encourage their kids who go to school to be questioning the things that they're taught, or letting them know about, hey, like, have you thought about like homeschooling? Do you think that homeschooling, that you could do a better job teaching them at home. And some people may not have time, and that's totally understandable with the current system that we have right now that forces people to work so much just to uh, make ends meet, to live paycheck to paycheck in many cases. Um, so just encourage your kids to question everything. Or if we get the conversation going enough in neighborhoods, we can model things off of what the Black Panthers did in the past and have community homeschool programs. But even in those community homeschool programs, the people teaching them might have some things wrong. And that's why I've been telling you this whole video and several times in past videos to never stop questioning things, no matter where you hear it. Whether it be from me, no matter if it be like from, no matter if it's like in the US, in another country, how do you know that what they're telling you is true? Of course, whatever has the most evidence will weigh out, but you shouldn't ever settle. What else is out there? What else haven't I said? So I mentioned growing your own food as a solution. Um, at the very least, talking to your neighbors about community gardens, talking to your neighbors about potentially having homeschooling programs. But at the end of the day, the best solution, which I say all the time, is to raise your consciousness. And that's why that includes always asking questions. Never, never, never settle. You should be questioning me. You should be questioning the political commentators that you guys listen to, just like how you would question mainstream media. Yes, absolutely. People in um, independent or alt media may have some things more correct than the people that in mainstream media have, but it doesn't mean that these people in independent or alt media won't still fall for some tribal things. They're still going to have some weaknesses. They're not going to have everything figured out. Some of them may be attached to certain solutions that aren't actually real solutions. Just like I mentioned earlier, some people were attached to crypto. Some people were attached to the idea that a general strike will solve everything. Even though if we had a general strike, and I addressed this in the general strike panel that I was in, that a lot of people are going to get fired, that it would count as a no work, no show, no work situation, and they can lose their job. And if they lose their job, then how are they going to make ends meet? Also, how are you going to convince everybody to go on a general strike? Especially right now when so many people in the population think that voting for the right person or voting for the right team is what's going to solve the problems. If we still have so many people that believe so hard in the Democrats or believe so hard in the Republicans, we're not ready for that right now. We're still right now in the process of informing people and educating people. That way we can come to a more efficient solution. I think a lot of the solutions that Derek Bros proposes on his Conscious Resistance channel, which you can find on Rockfin, you can also find it on thelastAmericanVagabond.org. I think a lot of those solutions are great. You guys should check out his Pyramid of Power series that goes over how these people at the top have control over our education system, how they have control over our media, how they have control over the banking system, and all this stuff. And then at the end of each of these episodes, he proposes solutions. As of now, I can't think of anything else to add on, but I can write some more down and do another video like this. But it's hilarious to me when people say, "Oh, like Franco has no solutions," or "I don't know what Franco's solutions are," or "Oh, Franco doesn't have solutions anymore." I still have the same solutions that I had since last year. It's just that again, the solutions panels became redundant. We were having the same arguments, or some people were still not grasping at some of the things I was saying or some of the other guests were saying. I guess I could try again with some people if I invite some people on. If I see some people in the chat or some people who leave comments, I might send out an invitation and have you guys on for a solutions panel. But I mean, as of now, I mean that's pretty much what I have. The most important one is to keep informing yourself. Inform yourself spiritually. Be aware of your weaknesses. Be aware of certain traps that you may fall into. Be aware of how you might be in a cult. And that cult doesn't allow you to think critically. And that cult has you attached to certain solutions. Or has you attached to being a doomer, where you think that nothing is a solution, or you're just like completely skeptical of everyone to the point in which you're not, like, the criticisms you have just like make no sense. Like you're just disagreeing just to disagree for the sake of it, just because you don't like anybody. Like you're just cynical. So yeah, grow your own food. Keep practicing your activism. Keep raising awareness about these political prisoners like Julian Assange, like all these other political prisoners that we have right now. Mumia Abu Jamal. Keep reading books and never stop asking questions. So that's it for now. Take care, everyone. I love you all. Stay informed.